Hello and welcome to day one of the reading rush. I'm whispering a little bit because the girls are at nap time right now. I wasn't able to do this intro in the very morning before I started reading because the girls were here and you would have just heard them holler all during it. I started reading Lock Every Door by Riley Sagar, and I picked it for this because it's got a purple cover, which is one of the Reading Rush challenges. For those of you who are not familiar, the Reading Rush is a week-long readathon on YouTube and Instagram, and I will be trying to vlog every day of the Reading Rush and sharing what I'm reading a little bit every day. So you can find it at The Reading Rush on Instagram, Twitter. I'll link it up below. I have a profile page there where I'm keeping track of what I'm reading. My hope is to read 7 books this week. That's my goal. We'll see. Yeah, but I'm reading all the time, all day. So this morning I managed to get some reading in while the girls first were having breakfast, and then they wanted me to get their painting stuff, and they painted at the table with me while I was reading and drank my coffee, and then they played with their dogs. Totally in the zone, but this book is written compellingly enough and like straightforward enough that it's easy to read even while they are popping around, which is actually one of the reasons I picked a thriller. This week I tried to pick books that are thrilling and kind of clearly enough written that I can keep track of what's happening, even if I get interrupted 100 times to get out the paints and comb my hair and here, put on this essential oil, which is one of the things that we're doing today again and again. You're gonna see me reach out my hand and then like breathe in, and then they put it on my feet and everything. So the book is amazing. So far in Lock Every Door, the main character, you have figured out that her life has fallen apart, and I'm not going to do any spoilers, but her life has completely fallen apart, and she is taking this job, apartment sitting at this old, beautiful building, lots of like kind of backstory and her feelings about the building and how she's known about it and how classic and old and beautiful it is. She's walking through and got a tour, but the book actually opens with her in the emergency room and you don't know why. And it kind of goes back and forth between those two perspectives of like now and then a couple months ago when she started this house sitting job. And so far you've gotten the idea that everybody who lives there is a little older and that they don't want anyone who is going to pry, or as the woman puts it, like be inquisitive about what's going on there, because you're not allowed to talk about anything in the building. That's all. So nothing creepy has happened yet, except that she's in the hospital, and at the very end of the first scene of her being in the hospital, she says like, "Oh, don't make me go back there." So you're like, why doesn't she want to go back there? So far it sounds amazing and beautiful, and she's getting paid tons of money to house sit. The best thing about it so far is there's this really great section about being poor, which I think is really what books like this are about. Because yes, it's about the thriller aspect, but it's also about, and there's another book I'm probably going to read this week called The Farm, which is also about needing money so bad you do something not illegal, just kind of sketchy and like that might not be entirely safe. And I just kind of, when I saw the two books next to each other, I realized like, oh, these books are actually about like our current economic climate in the US and like not being able to afford health insurance, or if you live in a place like New York City, not being able to afford housing. And so it's kind of like the authors are using the place that so many people in their 20s and 30s find themselves in right now, where you have to do something kind of weird to make ends meet, something that you might not otherwise do, but it's not illegal, just kind of weird, like house sitting at a really ritzy apartment where they make you sign a contract that says you won't leave, you won't have visitors, you won't talk to anybody. And so she said, Because here's the thing about being poor. Most people don't understand it unless they've been there themselves. They don't know what a fragile balancing act it is to stay afloat, and that if, God forbid, you momentarily slip underwater, how hard it is to resurface. They've never written a check with trembling hands, praying there'll be enough in their account to cover it. And then I like this. They've never had their credit card declined at a grocery store or restaurant or Walmart, all the while enduring a side eye from an annoyed cashier who silently judges them. And she goes on about what it means to be poor. And what people don't understand. To graduate and enter the job market with a lit degree only to be told you're either overqualified or underqualified for every position you apply for. And then she talks about the worry, which I love. A loud hum buzzing through every waking thought. That description of being poor and being on the edge is something that so many people who grew up middle class are experiencing. She talks about her. In her case, it happened because both of her parents died in her 20s, and so she had to return to college while working and getting student loans. My parents didn't die. They're still living, but I still worked my way through college and got student loans in order to pay for it, because there was, like, no one was able to help me pay for college. And that feeling, especially in your early 20s, that you're living on the edge. You may have a college degree, you might seem middle class, but you're living on the edge all the time, kind of balancing what bill you're going to pay and which one will clear, is so, like, to me, it makes the story, like, deeper and about more than just the thriller of she's living in this creepy building and what's going to happen that lands her in the hospital. It's also about, like, what it's like to be in that place where you'll take a weird job just to make ends meet. So I'm going to go back to reading this. I am loving it. Right now I'm on page, my thing fell out, 35. So we'll see what happens next. I'll check in again today, and then I will post this towards the end of the day. Each day I'll be posting my vlog towards the end of the day. So probably like in between 5 and 9 p.m. Eastern time. I would love to know what you guys are reading, and if you're participating in the Reading Rush, say hello below. I will link the Reading Rush up. I'll link up my profile page on the site. I want to earn those badges. There are badges on the site. I'll also be posting regularly over on Instagram stories. You can follow me there. I'm at Tarswiger. If you like this, you want to see more of these reading vlogs, hit the thumbs up button, leave a comment, let me know. Thanks, guys. Hey, I'm back right before the sun finally sets. It's about 8:30 and I am 140 pages into Lock Every Door. So I'm about at the halfway point. I'm at chapter 20, and one of the things that was great about the early chapters is, she talks about how poor she is, which I talked about earlier today. She starts each chapter with, I have $320 left in my bank account. I have $250 left in my bank account. So although you think it's a thriller about this creepy building, part of the like worry and concern that's building is like the real life thriller of, is your bank account gonna last until you get paid next? So she gets paid at the end of the week. Each week, $1,000 that she lives there in cash, so she kind of has to wait for that. Meanwhile, she's living in a very expensive neighborhood, has to get herself groceries, and there's something that happens with that. And the thing is so far, I'm kind of surprised. So I'm halfway through. I'm not going to do any spoilers, but the book isn't as, I kind of thought it was a supernatural thriller, but so far everything that's happening, hopefully this isn't spoilery. If you don't want to be spoilered, skip ahead 30 seconds. So far, everything that's happening is in her own head. So I don't know if something is going to happen in the real world that will make her feel like all the stuff in her own head is justified. But right now, you've learned a lot about her past, so you kind of understand how she can be. have all this in her head, like all this worry and all this concern. She mentions it several times about things from her past have like taught her to worry and to worry sooner than other people would worry. And so it leaves you with that feeling of like, is something wrong here or something not wrong here? Which the book it kind of reminded me of is Before She Knew Him. Yeah, Before She Knew Him, by Peter Swanson, is a creepy thriller in the same way that you're like, is something going wrong or something not going on? This so far is there. Like, it's not like a bunch of crazy things are happening. Like in the book You, the creepiness is happening right from the beginning. The guy is stalking people. But in Lock Every Door, it's more like her fear and worry that you're not entirely sure is based in reality. So that's where I am. I am now going to finish editing this video, upload it, and read for about another 2 hours, unless I fall asleep before then. We'll see where I am in the morning. I'll let you know. I'll talk to you tomorrow. I hope you're enjoying your reading rush. Comment below and let me know if you're reading with me.